Hey, want to give a good shout out to all my good warriors out there who are still trying to battle back pain and shoulders, hips, knee pain, ankle, feet, neck. Keep it up. All is not lost. You can do this. All right, let me give a quick tip. This is going out to everybody with low back pain. Now, this is not a one size fits all, so let this be my disclaimer. All right, I'm not a physician, nor have I seen any of your reports. So I don't know what's going on specifically in your low back if you have low back pain. I can only give you what I've been doing for me and for mine and what has worked historically for me and for what happens in the low back in many situations, many cases. All right. So, in order to get started, I have this image up here, as you can see, and I want to specifically address a couple muscles. All right. One of which is the QL, Quadratus Lumborum, and this little sucker can get nasty. That thing right there attaches to your top of your pelvis and originates at your bottom rib, or the other way. I think it originates at the top rib, the bottom rib, and then attaches at the top of the pelvis right there. This muscle, a little nasty bugger. It gets really irritated because we spend a lot of position time, and it makes it tired. All right. Now, the other one is literally just on the other side of it. Now, you can still see it, right? Literally, the muscle on the other side of that thing is that one. That's your psoas. Now, you see how that thing goes, right? So, that psoas literally goes from your spine, it's the lateral side of your spine, and it comes down, crosses over the front of your pelvis. Really interesting muscle here. That muscle attaches, all right, at the top of your thigh bone, all right, in the inner part of your thigh. And this is one of the muscles that helps in you doing hip flexion, okay? This movement right here. This muscle is critical. But this muscle is also a nasty one, and it can really set you off. Shout out to Solana and J Mad. They already know. And by the way, shout out to J Mad, of course, for representing one of the finer American products that's come on the market of late in the last, 10 years or so. Uncle Nearest, big shout, quality product. All right. So again, take note of how this muscle, wraps around the front of the pelvis, starts on the spine and still comes to the front of the body. That's important. It's a really important note. All right. So here's how that thing works. It attaches to the third, fourth, and fifth vertebrae of the lumbar spine. So L3, 4, and 5. And it comes around from the side here and it wraps around to the front of your thigh bone. So it looks like that. Okay. And that's the muscle that allows us to do this. One of them that allows us to do this. It's called a deep hip flexor muscle. Okay. So let's release those two muscles, QL and the psoas. All right. I'm going to release let's go with the psoas first. Now, this is aggressive. Okay. So you guys have to really be careful in how you do this. I'm going to start off with a softball. Why a softball? First of all, because this is a regulation softball, not a description of a soft ball, but a softball, right? This thing is firm enough where it's going to make an impact. It's large enough where it's not just going to get lost in the first layer of my belly fat or my skin. It can actually penetrate and get somewhere down in there. So my pelvis, the top of my pelvis is right here, okay? It's right here. Now, the psoas I'm going to go for is a little bit more medial, so it's going in. All right, so I'm going to put the ball right in that spot. Okay, I can't get so deep into the spine spot, but I can get close to the spot that comes across in the front of the pelvis. All right, so I'm putting the ball in that spot and I'm laying on it and I'm trying to get aggressive with it. But I start off at an intensity. I'm going to a 5, a 1 to a 5. I start off at a 1. All right, so you can kind of still see the ball peeking out here. And then I'm going to roll my body more onto it. So I'm going to go to about a 2-3 intensity. All right, keep breathing. Very important that you breathe through this stuff, because if you lose your breathing, all you're doing is taking that tension and putting it elsewhere in the body. Or this muscle is so darn tight. This is called a fight or flight muscle. So this thing is always turning on all throughout the course of the day. Any kind of stressful situations you find yourself in, it's going there. So breathe your way through this. That's why people say when you're having stressful moments, breathe. This is one of the reasons. First of all, it gets oxygen to your brain, so you're able to think clearly. And then number two, one of the main reasons is you can keep this thing from tensing up all the time. All right, now I'm going to apply about a 4 or 5 amount of pressure on it. Oh, yeah. And now that I'm here, I'm pinning this thing down. I'm going to move in the opposite direction that this muscle is responsible for. This muscle is a flexor of the hip. So I'm going to extend my hip by squeezing my glute, activate my glute. And now the hip extends, and now this thing is starting to stretch. This is called a pin and stretch movement. I'm pinning the ball against the muscle, so the muscle is in place, and now I'm stretching it out. And I can definitely feel this. All right, so I'm gonna do that for about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna do the same thing, all right? Remember, right on the other side is that other muscle, that QL muscle. Let me exit out of this, guys. I'm sorry, excuse me 1 sec. All right. Okay. Same side. I was right here with it. I'm going to go right off of my spine. Spine's right here. QL muscle is just off of the side, okay? Right about there. And remember where it goes from and where it goes to. Bottom rib to the top of the pelvis. And it's responsible for this muscle, for this movement. One of the responsibilities is this movement right here, this hip height movement. So on this side, the glute medius is pushing down and allowing this hip to stabilize. But on this side, the actual lifting is coming from that QL muscle. So one side is stabilizing, glute medius. The other side is hiking. That's the QL. And that thing gets real tight, real nasty. So again, ball on the spot. Lie right on it. I don't recommend starting with a softball. Start with a tennis ball on this one. Okay? You don't need anything too crazy in the beginning. You'll graduate eventually. Just take it easy though. Work your way into these, okay? So now you can see the ball there. I'm just gonna lie back. Oh yeah. So now I'm start off at about a 3 here. All right, and now I'm gonna come up on both of my feet so that my feet are flat on the floor. And now I'm gonna extend this leg, same side, right QL, right leg. And now, as I pin it down, I'm gonna pull my knee to my chest, and I'm gonna take my chest toward my knee to promote some lengthening here and here. So I'll do this for 5 or 6 reps, and I'll repeat. And then I'll cut against the fibers. These fibers run up and down like this. And I'm making the ball cut across left and right like this. All right, remember, you want to go from the pelvis up to that bottom rib, because you don't know where this thing is giving you problems. It can have tingling or trigger points along this thing. And it also, by the way, attaches along the vertebrae. So you have it attaching on those 3 vertebrae, and then you have it attaching to the rib and the pelvis. And a lot of times tendons, where they attach, are the problem spot. All right? So, okay, good. So now I'm going to show you a couple stretches. Stretch number 1, probably my favorite, because it requires the least amount of balance, the least amount of of products that we don't have. Like I have a Swiss ball, I can do it on this, but I'm gonna make it easy for you to relate to, because many of you have a bed or a sofa or whatever. All right. So what I wanna do on this is I just wanna create length in the muscle now, okay? So we drew some blood to the area by rolling it. That puts some nice heat in the spot. Blood goes to it. The blood takes oxygen to the spot. Now what we do, we're gonna lie on our side, okay, like this. And I wanna get my hip kind of close to the edge. Not so close that I'm gonna fall over, but here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna reach overhead. You're gonna hold this. You're gonna hold this if you can for a minute. If you can't hold it for a minute, then take a break. 10 seconds, and then go right back into it. Okay? Now, the funny thing about this muscle is that you can't tell the better angle. You might need a different angle from me. I feel this more at this angle with my hip going straight up in the air. You might feel it more with your hip coming more forward like that, or you might feel it better with your hip going more posteriorly like that. All right? I can feel this is a pretty good one too. All right? But you're trying to really elongate your whole side here, which is also going to elongate that QL in the back. All right? And reach overhead to help to promote even deeper stretching. Okay? So then that's one variety of the stretch. Another one is this one. All right, which you can do anywhere. Just it's going to require some level of balance, if you will. So you want to have some space in between your knee, your half kneeling, and your foot. Now, excuse me, you're going to push your hip out that way, and you're going to reach overhead going that way. That's going to create a bowing effect of your body. Okay, so you're going to come here. And again, go as long as you can and hold it. Now, if you can hold it without holding your breath, then hold it. But if you have to hold your breath, don't hold it. Come back and reset and do it again. I don't want you to hold your breath because, again, all you're doing is taking tension and either keeping it there or you're redistributing it somewhere else throughout your body. That defeats the whole purpose, okay? Intensify the stretch a little bit more. You're going to reach through here and you're going to reach overhead. That even intensifies it, okay? And again, you're going to change the angle a little bit. Try to play with it to find out which area you get a better stretch, okay? So those are the two that I have for you. There's another one called a door stretch, which is a variation of this one. And it's a combination of these two because you're going to be on both feet. You're going to put your body in the door jamb. You're going to stand inside of the door. You're actually going to stand inside of the door, okay? You're going to take both feet. I'm sorry, guys. I have to change this weird angle for you, but I think you guys get the intent. All right. You're going to cross your feet over like this. I'm stretching my right side, my right QL, okay? This side. I'm going to reach into the door jamb, okay? I'm going to hold it down here with this one, and then I'm going to reach overhead with my other arm so that it would look like this. Here, here, and I'm holding on overhead. Boom, and I'm blowing my body out. Okay, you can use some kind of pole or the squat rig or squat rack, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you can hold on to and get a good stretch from that. Okay, those are really good QL stretches. Now, we didn't stretch your psoas, okay? So this is going to be uncomfortable, so I don't recommend that you go this aggressively. But with your psoas, what you want to do, start with my right side. That's the problem side for me. Half kneel again. Okay. You know, when you see people thinking they're stretching the front part of their quad and they just kind of go forward like this, and they push their butt in like that. That's not doing it. What they want to do is they don't want to arch. They really want to stay straight here. They want this to be very perpendicular to the floor. And then this can be back a little bit, but you don't want to hyperextend at the back. What you want to do is you want to squeeze your butt. This is called reciprocal inhibition. You squeeze one side of the joint, the other side relaxes. So when you sit all day long and this joint is always flexed, your hip is always up here, that QL or the psoas is on. We want to turn it off. We want to stretch it out, lengthen it. So what do? You extend the hip, squeeze the glute. If I want to get even more of a stretch, I'm going to move forward in one piece like this, not like this. Okay, I'm just squeezing my butt and I'm feeling all this heat up and get longer as I do this. Okay? The better you get at this, what you're going to do is put your foot up on something like this. And the same thing applies. You're squeezing that same side. Now I'm on my right side still, obviously, but I'm squeezing this spot right here. Okay? Boom. On my right side. I'm squeezing my glute. It's a really good stretch. All right? So I hope that helps you guys out some for this low back pain that you're going through. I know it helped me out drastically. And that's not even dealing with any of the weaknesses. That's only releasing ultra tight hypertonic muscles. Okay, you guys got any questions? Hit me up. Let me know. Peace. Enjoy your Sunday. Love you.